who is this gorgeous little girl in my show here today, Transform with Neha. Hello. Hi.
Hi, Neha.
Hi, I know, even I want to jump.
Hi.
Jump off my screen and come to you like this.
Toffee. We'll have toffee after this, okay? She wants toffee to interact with you. That's her face.
What? She's learning from her mommy that the best way to go about things is a little bit of a bribe. Eh?
Yeah.
Hi,
I
Avni.
have to bribe her to stay in frame.
Avni, how old are you? How old are you, Avni?
Didi,
Didi,
I'm 9-year-old.
old.
She's into the laugh attack mode. Okay, Ami, listen. Calm down.
Okay.
We will listen to Didi for 2 minutes. Sit quietly. Okay.
Avni,
We will fold our hands and listen to Didi.
Avni.
Okay, you can give a time, please.
Wow. Avni,
You're welcome.
what are you doing in this lockdown? She's gone. Oh, what a
She's gone.
what a
She's
cute.
just jumping around the house, doing nothing in the lockdown, basically. But
Well,
she's been a revelation, taking her online classes and stuff like that.
let me take this opportunity to introduce that fabulous little girl who is with us right now. That's Avni Dahiya, and that's her fighter mom, Preeti, who's here with us today. Preeti began her journey as this fighter mom in 2013 when Avni was diagnosed with a lifelong neurological condition called autism spectrum disorder. And despite the emotional roller coaster ride that went with it. Today, she's an accomplished television presenter. She's a mother of 2 little munchkins, and she's taken all those learnings and all that experience that life has thrown her to stand for a cause. And if you haven't guessed already, the cause is autism awareness. So, Preeti, thank you so much for joining us here today. And
Pleasure, Neha. Pleasure is all mine.
and I feel just so blessed that you're speaking up and you're talking about it, because I wish we would hear more about this. And I have to admit, Preeti, I was actually quite surprised at how common autism is. 1 in
Yeah.
5 children today, at some stage in early childhood are diagnosed with this syndrome. And I have to admit that I just didn't know that it was so common.
Yeah, no, actually, the shocking part is that autism is everywhere around us, but there are very few of us who are actually impacted by autism, either through, our own child or someone in our close relation or friend circle. That's when we get to know about autism, and that's the most shocking part. I think somewhere autism should be introduced at an early childhood level to neurotypical children as well. And that's the change that I've seen recently with many inclusive schools coming up. Avni goes to an inclusive setup where children as young as her are her classmates. They are neurotypicals, and then they see a little slightly different kid than them amongst them. So I think their generation would be better, at understanding the various neurodiversities that exist between us, amongst us. Because when we were in school, we were never told about it. Okay, I'll give you a copy.
She's back.
Now you go
Back.
out.
Bulao,
get-
bulao.
get
Call
your
her.
copy.
Call
Okay,
her.
come
Back.
Come here. Acha, sorry. Acha, tell Didi, what is your school name? It's funny for her. What is your school name, Abu? Now, where do we go and study? It's been a 4-month long break, so she's forgotten that school name. Otherwise, she, every night she starts her routine that tomorrow morning I'll go to Prakriti, then I'll go to so-and-so teacher for special education, so-and-so teacher for my therapies. So her schedule is all on her fingertips. And
And
she's forgotten a bit as per her convenience.
one such set of COVID warriors, like you describe them, are mothers and children, because they've got all this downtime and they have to keep their children constructive and entertained and productive. And as it is, it's a challenge for them. So it must be even harder for you. And I can see that she's got one eye totally on what's happening here. So please feel free, Avni, join us whenever you want.
Yeah,
But
so
every time you come,
go-
Avni, every time she comes on the frame, she has to give me a kissy.
Okay, give a flying kiss. Say, you're pretty, Didi.
And she say, hi.
That's going to be her modus operandi, to come and grab me every now and then, ask for a toffee because I asked her for a favor to sit with me.
Oh,
But yeah, so it's been challenging 4 months for us also. I think initially when her special educator proposed that you take online sessions for Avni, I actually said no. I said, I don't think my child is in a state to actually take online classes and we won't gain anything from it. We might as well not even try. But then nobody knew that lockdown would continue for this long and Corona is going to be, here with us for a long time. So we started taking chances. Her father started sitting with her in her online classes because I was doing my work from home. So Avni has been a revelation. She, in fact, in a lot of autistic kids, we worry that there would be regression if there is no continuous therapy. And we are lucky that there was no regression, only progress in the last 4 months. She's learned new concepts from addition to multiplication to, reading Hindi and English. And it was such a huge relief. Sometimes I think always as a mother on this autism spectrum, I've always underestimated her skills. And she's always surprised me with what she knows and what she can do. And that's one learning that I would want to tell every mom out there. Don't underestimate before you try. Because sometimes we don't even give them benefit of doubt. We just say, nahi kar payegi. But that never happens. You forgot to give flying kiss.
Toffee.
Achha, go ask Pinky Didi for coffee. Pinky Didi is my help actually. She might help me.
one thing she sure knows how to do is get her way.
She does. To know about Avni's diagnosis, primarily because even after 2.5 years of age, she had not started talking. So that got me worried, and we started meeting development pediatricians, and they flagged off a few issues. There were some typical signs, like she used to sit in W position, line up her toys, not point at things, not respond to her name, wasn't very emotionally connected to us, like me coming and going into the house wouldn't matter much to her. So they flagged off a few issues and we got to know about her. But the first sign that as a mother I caught was that her not talking. So when we started with her speech therapy, they taught us that whenever the child actually uses a relevant word or sound, you must reward the child. So if she would say a turf or a toffee, I must reward her for a toffee. So it's that training from a 2-year-old to a 9-year-old today that she knows if I say something relevant and I have deserved it, then I'll get it. So the training of a child on autism spectrum towards a relevant life is the same time that a mother's training also starts towards working with her child and make things more sensible, because otherwise you are just hunting in dark, you're trying everything and then 90% of the things won't work. So I think it's equally important for mothers also to get trained. And there are very good special educators out there who actually empower the mother. So I was lucky to find some good therapists right at the beginning of our journey. And one of the special educators actually told me that you will sit with me in the class. I will give you the task, go home, work with your child. And if you find any problem, then you let me know and then we'll work the next day. So that's how my rapport with Avni started. Avni, what are we supposed to do? Correct? So we actually connected quite a lot in those initial years, because earlier, before that, I would tell therapists who would assess Avni that meri to sari baat maan leti hai, there is no problem. I think everybody says that she's not responding, but she responds to me. At that time, she told me something which was sort of an eye-opener, that she has a relationship in which she's a little selfish with you. She only talks to you or comes to you when she wants something to be done. So we wanted to reverse that not something to be done, but she should respect you as a mother, that this is the person that I need to be with. So it's a long journey that we've covered in these last few years.
Sounds so wonderfully composed, and the little time I've spent with you building up to this interview as well. I mean, you're a strong zinda dil, never say die, fighter spirit. And that's why, I wanted you on this show to begin with. But, I came across a description. It's a way in which you have described yourself. You said a special child raises a special mother. And that honestly just I don't know, I just felt something when I read that. And I knew that there must have been so much emotion, so much of thought behind the way you described yourself. So it
So
is.
I write this blog, Neha, I think I started before her 4th birthday. I started writing this blog from 2.5 years of her age when we started with therapies to till the time I started writing that blog for about a year. My mission was just to like work 5 hours a day, my profession, and then come back, focus on her therapies, read a lot about autism, therapies, medicines, cure, diagnosis, condition, what are the typical traits, what can we do. It was overwhelming. And at that time, I used to get very few moments of reflection and just, lie down and just think, which direction are we headed? So one of those nights when I was just sort of overwhelmed with too much information and a child to handle, I went back to my time of delivery in the hospital when Avni was about to be born. And in that hospital, there was a quote that a mother is born with a child. And that's so true that before the birth of a child, we're not mothers, right? We are like individuals. We are what we are. And we are somebody's daughter. We have our own traits. Nobody knows what sort of a mother will we be. So then I realized that what sort of mother am I becoming? Like, people always say, oh, it's a special child. It's a special child. What sort of a mother am I becoming? Am I supposed to be modifying my motherhood instincts as per her needs? And it turned out that I am actually becoming a special mother with my special child. So that actually gave me the title of my blog. And then I thought that every contribution to my motherhood is actually coming from this special child. And whatever I'm doing, people find it special or something which has a fighting attitude, never say die sort of an attitude. But that's something that Avni has given me. Before her birth, I never knew that I'm going to be handling this challenge. I think any mom in my place would have done the same. We are all, we modify our motherhood as per the requirements of our child. Some things are with us as we grow up. Like my mom has this habit of screaming out our names. So even I had this habit of saying, Avni, come here. But, I was taught that when you say, Avni, come here, she might just get overwhelmed with too much of information and too loud in information. So try spreading her word. We started calling her Avni. So, slowly it registers in her head that Avni is her name and she's supposed to respond to it. And I saw like an overnight change in the way Avni was responding to her name when I started spreading it. So some things we learn from our mothers, but then when we become mothers, we need to modify it as for our child. And that's why I call myself a special mother to my special baby. And she's back to give up. No, we are not eating sugar rice. Yesterday she had sugar rice for lunch. So today also she's trying her luck.
Avni, you didn't answer the question. Which school are you in?
Which
school are you in, Avni?
What is your school name? Jaldi batao.
School.
Now, what is your school name? Prakriti. Say.
School is Prakriti.
You like school?
Avni, what do you like to do? Tell Didi, what do you like to do? She likes the wheels. Basically, in sometimes she might get a scooty in the picture. So she's very good on wheels. And we discovered it very early. Some of the autistic kids are actually not good in balancing their body. But Avni was always very good. So she would balance herself even on the handle of our sofas and, stuff like that. And then we thought that why can't we simply get her to do cycling? Because cycling is also a very complex neurological activity for a little kid. Both left and right side of your brain has to work in rotating those wheels. You have to, keep it straight and stuff like that. So cycling was a challenge. Her occupational therapist helped us achieve it. First on a stationary cycle, just pedaling, then keeping the handle clear. Once she cracked that, there was no stopping of me. Now she's good on cycling, she's good on skating, the roller skates, and she's good on scooty. She's mastered it. And we take her for like inter-school competitions of special kids in skating competition. We have a few medals that Avni has won. So that's
all your hard work that you've put into this little one is very evident because she looks so, touch wood, she looks so happy and, loves her mommy, as we can see. Can't keep her eye off her mommy, but it mustn't have been easy to get her to this point. So
No, nothing is easy, Neha. I'll tell you, when I started with Avni's therapies, I used to think that it's just going to be 1 or 2 years of therapies, and we'll get our child, newly packaged, and everything would be fine. But as you get deeper into this journey, you realize it's going to be a lifelong marathon. There is no end line to it, and every child shapes up differently. Some children achieve a certain milestone pretty early in their life. Some children take many years to achieve that simple milestone. It could be their speech, it could be their walking ability, it could be their emotional understanding, it could be their social understanding. Uh, every child is different. And if you are comparing your child with somebody else's, कि उसको तो 4 साल की उम्र में बोलना आ गया था, मेरा अभी 10 साल का हो गया, क्यों नहीं बोलना आया? I think that's the worst thing that you can do to yourself and to your child. Never compare. Sorry. Yeah. So never compare is my mantra, and that's something that I learned in those initial years, and that has helped somewhere in calming myself down, because some things Avni has learned before others, and if I boast about it, then the other mother would also feel bad कि मेरे बच्चे को तो अभी ये नहीं आया. And it's very simple, like, Avni is very good at sight reading, so she can read good English. She can read English storybooks to a certain level. I think to class 1 level she can read, and age-wise she should have been in class 3. So in that sense, Avni was always good at sight reading. Mothers would exchange notes. People would feel, अरे मुझे तो अभी ABCD सिखाने में भी problem हो रहा है. How can she read cat, bat, mat? So I think that is when I told myself that I'm not going to compare my child with somebody else's, and that was my advice to my fellow mothers as well. Like, don't compare. She might have achieved that at the age of 5. You will achieve it at 6, 7, whatever. At the end of the day, I also tell all her special educators, her therapists, and her school teachers that when I send Avni to school, my goals are not purely academic. My goals are to give her social setting that she deserves as a 9-year-old. And social goals are important that only a school can give, because I can teach her ABCD at home as well. I can't bring her 15 other classmates and teach her how to celebrate a birthday in a classroom. So we learned to take one step at a time, appreciate her pace, and slow down our expectations, not to compare, and I think celebrate every milestone. I think that's been our mantra. Celebrate it, and this is something that special needs families have in them. Something that parents take for granted. Like I remember once I was traveling in a car with my sister and her family, and their daughter, who was only a year and a half older than Avni, was sitting on the back seat, and she kept on saying, "Papa, Papa, Papa," and the Papa was just ignoring her. At that time, I was like, soaking it in and thinking that if my husband were to hear Papa these many times, every single time he would turn around and say, "Yes, baby, yes, Avni, yes, baby, yes, Avni." Something we just take for granted, like regular families take for granted. For us, it's the moment to cherish. At that time, Avni was not even saying Papa in a relevant way. Like if you would tell her to say, she would say. Even now, her communication, like with you, is what I tell her, she will tell you. But otherwise, she'll be just like laughing around and thinking that this is some sort of a funny exercise that we are doing. She's not like that with people that she knows. Like she has a Neha Didi as a special educator as well. And she's learning multiplication from that Neha Didi. So, it's all about developing a level of comfort. Small things, Avni is sort of revealing to us every day. And it's like incredible. And we celebrate. Every time she does something smart, we just look at each other and like, wow, isko ye pata hai. And sometimes she
what has she done?
Like last night, she has this habit of saying, if I tell her, Avni, come here, she'll say, "Mommy, 1 minute." So that was a revelation. How can she like ask Mommy 1 minute? That's an evasive, sort of a thing. So we started turning the tables. Now Avni tells me, "Mama, Mommy, come," and I'm in a mood to sit. I'll say, "Mommy, 1 minute." So she started laughing that, no, you're sort of turning it on me. I used to say, "Mommy, 1 minute." Now you're saying, "Avni, 1 minute." So she understands the underlying tone of humor in it, which is incredible, because a lot of people say that, emotional quotient is missing in autistic children, but that's not the case. It's all about when things click, it starts from that toilet training moment when they just realize that this is the place I should be using for toilet. And it's that reading moment. It's that moment when she realizes that if I call out Mama to her, she immediately turns around and notices I mean, what a nice way of doing that instead of saying A or screaming.
Wonderful.
So it's all about that moment. Things click, and then that child keeps it with her like for the longest time possible. That's something that I've seen with Avni. That's our strength. She doesn't forget once she's acquired the skill. So I think that's fabulous with my child. Let me come. ले, आप यहाँ बैठोगे. अच्छा, हम नेहा दीदी को बताओ.
What we gotta do?
हाँ, नेहा दीदी को हमने फ्लाइंग किस देना था?
I think she's going to stop giving them now.
फ्लाइंग किस देना था पहले? हाँ. अच्छा, नेहा दीदी को दिखाओ. Where is 4 on your fingers? Show me 4 on your fingers.
1,
Yeah.
4.
Show me 6 on your fingers, please. 6 on your fingers. 1 and 6 कैसे होगा? She's not in the mood. Like इसका भी क्लास बना दिया.
मुझे लग रहा था कि मैं पार्टी करने वाली हूँ, लेकिन ये तो
Yeah.
okay.
So when I told her that we are meeting Neha Didi, you change your T-shirt. She said birthday party. I said no, we're not going to birthday party. We're going to have an online party. But something she's related, like it's fixed that if mommy is asking me to change clothes, maybe we are going for a party or something. And then she got to see me a little dressed up. It's like, oh, maybe we are going to a birthday party.
So before she came into the frame, we were speaking about the strength that you have with her. But I just want to take a moment to tell you what was your weakest moment in this journey so far?
There have been many. I can't pinpoint one. The day of her diagnosis was one. Oh my God, my little one is in the room now. So the day of her diagnosis was one when we were just trying to figure out what the doctor has said. She said that she's at risk autism. We didn't cry, honestly, as such. We were back from the clinic and we were just thinking that, what as she just said, is the doctor overreacting? Is the doctor over-expecting from a 2-year-old? So that was one moment. But otherwise, the weakest moment, in fact, if I were to pinpoint one incident came about, I think 3 years back. We were traveling when I was expecting my younger one. I was 3 months pregnant at that time. And we were sitting in a restaurant and Avni all of a sudden just started throwing a tantrum. And anyway, I was perhaps very emotional because of hormonal changes in me at that time. And there were other kids in our group. And every kid was just fine. Everybody was enjoying their pizzas and their Coke and everything. And this girl just started screaming for something that she wanted and I was not able to figure out. And I just completely lost at that point and I didn't know. Maybe I started comparing my child with others that, why are they sitting quiet and enjoying everything and why is she not able to do it? Why am I the one who's chosen to be troubled? Why is it happening only with me? I just took her hand. We sat outside on the footpath for quite some time. My sister came and stood next to me. She tried to calm me down and give me a glass of water. But that was a very, very weak moment. I don't know why. It's just, I was not able to control myself at that time. I just cried and cried. With Avni, there have been other moments, like especially during travel, we've encountered tremendous difficulties. When I took her for the first time to Europe, she was a year and a half, I think, or maybe 2. Throughout the 9-hour flight from here to Geneva, from Delhi to Geneva, I was on my foot. I was standing. I was taking her in my arms and I was standing. And while, the little one is just running around. I'll tell Papa to give you black. So that there was one woman who complimented me. Beta, aapne to matlab pura rasta khade hoke cover kiya hai journey. Kudos to you. And at that moment, I thought that what else could I have done? Like, if the child is not allowing me to sit, what else am I supposed to do? I can't take her out of the plane. So we'll have to just handle it like that. So in those moments, you feel weak, you feel all your strength also basically. These are weak moments, but then you immediately after like 5-10 minutes, you collect yourself and you're like, I need to be strong at this point in time. And you do. Another big moment of weakness was when we got an EEG done on Avni. Because somebody told us that autistic kids are also prone to seizures. And Avni has always been a very poor sleeper. So we wanted to see if there are any silent seizures that we can monitor in her sleep. So they put all those electrodes onto the head of the child. First she slept after a lot of difficulty. Then when we came home and I was giving her a hair bath and removing that glue from her hair while giving her bath, I think that moment I cried. I was like, why is my child going through all of this?
Platform.
Maybe go ask him. Pinky, and you have to give flying kiss before you go. So that moment I did feel that why my child only? Why are we suffering this? You asked this question, I think, repeatedly various times in your journey. There have been many weak moments. But Neha, like I said, that either you allow yourself to be drowned in depression with those weak moments, or you think about the same child who's given those weak moments and say, if something happens to me, who will take care of her? So just gather yourself back and rededicate yourself to what you were doing earlier. I think there is no substitute to crying. I think everyone who's overwhelmed with emotion must cry, not hide it, not stop it. Cry it out, talk it out if it helps. Jay. So yeah, cry it out. Just do whatever works out for you, and just get over with it. With Avni's journey, I also realized there are certain things which work typically for one person. There was a time when nobody would take her in their play school, and she was already ready for school at 4. I was looking for a school for her. Then somehow I convinced a teacher who used to run a very small setup that आप रोज 1 घंटे के लिए इसको बिठा लो. I just want her. I'm so sorry. This is going to be a pattern of this interview. Yeah, this is a little one, by the way. He's yet to come to the frame. So yeah, at that time I told that teacher that आप इसको रोज 1 घंटे के लिए बिठा लो, just to give her exposure to her peer group, children her age. So I used to drop her to that play school. Then I joined a gym. I used to run 5 kilometers on treadmill, just thinking about what Avni would be doing or what I want to do, what would be my next step, what can I bring in her diet, what can I bring in her therapies. Finish that 5 kilometer run, go pick her up and come back home. So that 5 kilometer run used to be my meditation. So whatever works for you, I think that's my suggestion for any mom. If cooking works for you, to keep your mind essentially away from autism, but still it's sort of a meditative process wherein while, seeing that broth boil, you're thinking of your child's next step or your next step. I think just do it by all means. If running is your calling, just do that. Talking, writing, whatever works for you, do that. But don't hide things in you, because that really brings you to a stage where it will all break, and that will be more harmful to your child, more harmful than autism.
And in our previous discussions, we were talking about different parents reacting, or rather responding very differently to the situation. Not everyone has a very positive approach, and not everyone is so constructive with their child without even realizing how damaging that negative thought pattern can be for their children.
Yeah. So you meet a lot of parents when you are basically going to therapy centers, meeting doctors, and even psychologists, consulting everyone. So that was our journey as well. I would meet a lot of mothers sitting outside the therapy rooms, because parents are normally not allowed, especially at an early age when they're trying to break certain pattern with the child and getting them to work with different people. So in that circle, I realized that a lot of mothers would say, मैं तो पिछले 5 साल से आ रही हूँ, कुछ नहीं होता. ये लोग यही reading कराते रहते हैं बच्चे से, यही shape matching कराते रहते हैं बच्चे से, कुछ नहीं होता. Then there would be mothers who would have children even with more severe condition, with huge dark circles. And they say that I've never slept. Ever since the birth of this child, I hardly sleep. But still, my child today lifted a spoon and I'm so happy about it. So you feel like, oh, that's incredible. And you see their dedication and you admire them. So I consciously made an effort where I want to be surrounded by positive mothers. No matter how hard the circumstances are, I wanted to be associated with mothers who have a very positive attitude towards their child, and I don't want to be associated with anyone who says, "Isko kuch nahi hone wala. Isse kuch nahi hone wala." If you start a journey by saying कि इससे कुछ नहीं होने वाला, then believe you me, कुछ नहीं होगा, because your attitude is wrong. So I joined a few WhatsApp groups because you share information about therapists or the latest thing that mothers are talking about in terms of what's working and what's not working, whether it's a diet or a homeopathy doctor or an allopathy doctor. And I realized that some groups are only talking about negative stuff. And then I made a conscious effort. I want to quit from this group. I left it, even if that means that some information will not be available to me. I'm okay with it. So I'm in none of the Delhi parent groups. because I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, whatever groups I joined, I found them to be sharing more negative information. They might be good groups, but I'm not part of them. I'm in a parent support group, which has maximum mothers from Bangalore, and they talk a lot of sense. They share a lot of resources, books that we can read out to our child or buy for them, how to develop a certain skill, whether it's teaching the child about self-awareness, body parts as they grow now. As Avni is growing, she's 9, so we have to teach them about good touch, bad touch. So, these small things that you teach to a regular child have to be tweaked a little and taught to a special child. So I'm in such groups which are informative in nature, which are educative in nature, which are empowering me as a mother, and which are not negative in their approach. For every mother or parent watching right now, I would simply advise that make a conscious effort. Who is positive and who is negative? And as adults, we're all capable of identifying that. And the same rule should apply to your child. You might have struck a very good rapport with a mother, but that mother, if she has a negative child towards her, a negative attitude towards her child, then might as well cut it out. I mean, seriously, because these things rub onto you. You don't want negativity. Because if you hear 20 times, "Arey, isse kuch nahi hone wala," one time you are also bound to think, "Ki actually isse kuch ho to raha nahi hai." That is not good for your child.
Tell me,
So,
as Avni is growing up, over the years, is she aware of her specialness, for lack of a better word? Does she feel different from other children, or
right now, Avni is not in that stage. But I know a lot of autistic kids in their teens and early adulthood who do get aware of their special nature, so to say. Uh, they do, I think, at some stage, they realize that they are a little different from others around them, and they learn to live with it. Like we parents learn to live with it. I think I've seen a lot of autistic kids do that. Maybe we are making Avni also, progress towards that up when she realizes, for the lack of, again, a better adjective, the quirkiness in her character, which is fine. Like we all have that, right? I mean, we are all different from each other. No two people are same. So I know of a lot of kids who have advanced a lot in terms of their journey, and they have almost, you cannot call them autistic anymore. I think they have crossed the spectrum. I would rather say that. And but when it comes to social interactions, especially girls, because girls at a very young age are very talkative. Like 3-4-year-old girls are also very talkative, but Avni at 9 is also not that talkative. So even at 14, 15, if you are an autistic girl, they realize that I'm not like my classmate. I like to do my swimming. I like to do my painting. I like to do my reading in one corner. I may not be gossiping about other girls with her, or may not be talking boys, but it's fine. I mean, they learn to live with it. That's not my area of interest. I mean, that's fine. The best part about our autistic kids are they're not cunning. They're so pure. They don't have that cunningness in them that, oh, I'm going to take revenge on you, or you didn't give me your pen, so I'm never going to give you mine, and stuff like that. Like I will tell Avni, no chocolate, no toffee, a billion times. And if Avni has a chocolate in her hand, I say, Avni, please give me one bite. She will just cutely give me, her toffee, her chocolate. So wo chal kapat, there is nothing like that in our kids. They're so innocent, they're so pure, and that's why they attract so much of love from any pure-hearted person. Like, the biggest strength of these kids is their ability to catch the vibe. If they don't like someone's vibe, they don't go near that person. Without me, I've seen it so many times. That sixth sense, that vibe, that you're not a nice person, I'm not gonna come to you. If you're a nice person, I'll be giving you and welcoming you with a huge smile, no matter if I'm meeting you for the first time or I'm meeting you for the umpteenth time. That has worked with Omni Spec so many times, and that's, touchwood, one ability perhaps that would keep my child safe as well.
and you've done a very, very good job as well. So, pat on the back to you, girl. Pat on the back to you.
Journey is still on. Journey is still on, Neha.
Lifelong.
Yeah, lifelong.
Where we
Yeah.
are right now. This is where we are right now.
Yeah.
So there was another, quote that I found in your blogs. And since the show is transformed, oh, look at this. This is the younger.
See, hi, Didi.
Hi.
तो फिर आप मान जाते देखो Please go watch it there. Oh, God, he's going to disturb me now. Okay, see you. Okay. Hi, it's funny. Come and say hi. Say hi.
Hi.
Can you say hi? Hmm? No? Bye. Okay. Bye.
But even with the second kid, it's not been easy. You've had
No, no. It's been, I don't know, it's been crazy. Oh, with Jay, it's a different story altogether. So for the longest time after Avni's birth, we thought that there is no scope for a second child because it's it's not going to work. Avni needs completely undivided attention, and there are so many things. My husband has a traveling job. I also want to have some sense of my career. So I want to be in a situation where I continue to work. But when I conceived Jay 3 years back, I thought that I need another shot at motherhood. It was something kicks within. Like you don't want to sort of not have that child. So I decided I'll go ahead with Jay. And Jay's journey has been incredibly, oh my God, it was too difficult. So I had very bad evening sickness during his time. Whatever I would consume, I would vomit. I think most of the nights for the first 3 or 4 months, I slept without dinner because I just couldn't keep it in. Then they started giving me iron and calcium tablets. Iron did not react on me. Sorry, did not work well for me. It started triggering side effects. So iron became a problem. I stopped taking those iron tablets. Then my hemoglobin went down. It was below 7 at one stage. My gynae told me I might have to do blood infusion if it goes like this. I don't know, Neha, how I have gone through those 9 months. At week 20, this boy's nasal bone was detected to be missing, which is a marker for Down syndrome. And Down syndrome is another special condition. I told my gynae, I don't think I'm in a position to have another child with special needs. And they took my amniotic fluid. They tested it for trisomy 21, which is an indication of Down syndrome. That came out fine. They did some genetic tests as well. That also turned out fine. But still, the doctor cautions you there is 1% chance of some genetic mutation that cannot be mapped. So then I told myself that if I have to trust uh, the Almighty for that 1%, I might as well trust 100%. Even before the results of my amniotic fluid test came, I was prepared mentally that I want to have this child no matter what. Jaisa bhi hai mera hai, and if I can handle autism, I can handle everything. So that was one time that I told myself that we are going ahead till 36 weeks of him I being pregnant with him. His nasal bone was not detected. At 37 weeks my water broke, and we went to the hospital. I had another c-sec and he was born, and the first thing that I asked was, does he have a nose? And he had this pretty face that nobody can say was missing a nose. And even even now, like he's not talking like a typical 2.5, I would say, or maybe then there are too many typicals. Actually, let's not compare children. Everyone has a different speed. But with Jay, I feel that somewhere not having a neurotypical sibling also affects the growth. Avni doesn't speak in the normal way. So he doesn't see his sister shouting out to us saying mama, papa. So he hasn't picked that up. He's picked up a lot of other words, uh, which are completely different. The growth trajectory is completely different than what Avni's was. So I'm not very worried. I'm just sort of keeping my fingers crossed and working on him as well. But children, I think, has been a bit of a challenge for me. And the only takeaway for me is to just keep working on it. Like there is no other way. You just have to dedicate yourself to them. And then at the same time, take care of yourself. Like, otherwise you'll go crazy.
so beautifully interrupted by this little bundle of joy. I was telling you about, I was telling you about how there was something I stumbled upon in one of your blog posts,
Yeah.
where you've said, my biggest achievement has been my transformation into a person I thought I could never be. Who did you think
Yeah.
you could never be?
So for one, I had Avni at the age of 26. That's pretty early by today's standards. So I was a impatient person. I'm the youngest in my family. Not pampered, but very, very bindas. Like I told you, Mufat, and not giving two hoots about what others think, and just going about my own way, wanting things to be done at a particular time the way I want, and not listening to any excuses. Obviously, career aspirations were there alongside because I had a good thriving career before I had Avni, and then I took a break and then a back seat with limited hours. So I was a completely different person till I had Avni, and then Avni taught me that basically I'm your biggest challenge, and I will not modify myself as per your way of thinking. You will have to modify yourself as per me. This little one just brought such tremendous challenges that somewhere you're like I mean, I can fight with anything, but how do I fight with a 2-year-old who's not willing to listen, who's not willing to respond to her name, who's not willing to tell me what exactly is wrong and why is she howling? So those are the things that motherhood taught me. And how do I fight with this 2.5-year-old who refuses to go? He needs to be with me. And his father is sitting right there, but he still needs mommy to help him out with something. So that's something that motherhood teaches you, that no matter what you want, you're going to be directed by them. And the earlier you learn it, the better it is because you imbibe it. Some things, obviously, I'm not going to tell moms to always, give in to demands whether they are genuine or not, because sometimes you just have to be the mother and put your foot down and say that, no, this is not happening, whether the child is special needs or a regular child. So that's my learning, that everything that I was has been reshaped in a certain way with these two around, first with Avni and now with him. So things work as per them, but yeah, I'm not going to advise any mom to not be stern if it requires to be with a child with special needs or a regular child. Where if they are not genuine in their demand and exactly that, then you need to put your foot down. Like with Avni, we have to monitor her sugar levels. So every time she asks for a toffee or a chocolate, we can't say that, okay, go ahead, have it. Because sugar makes you hyperactive. Sugar also ends up putting on weight on the kid. So these are the times when we just simply ignore sometimes, or we simply say, no, Avni, it's not happening. It takes time for someone like Avni to understand it, but then she slowly starts appreciating that they are saying no for a certain reason, and I might as well appreciate it. Yes, baby. Kya kare? He wants to play with me.
We're all dealt a certain stack of cards, and a lot of people might find it very hard to find something to be grateful for, given like the challenge that has been thrown at you. Just spending the time that I have with you, I mean, I know you're someone who I can comfortably ask this question to. So what are you grateful for? If you have to just look at this entire experience.
So there are a few things that I would be grateful for. One is that because I've seen so many children on autism spectrum, I'm grateful that our challenge ends at the level that Avni has, because I have seen children who are very difficult to handle. And it requires a lot of effort to get them to a certain level, even going into adulthood. So first thing that I'm grateful for is that God decided to give me a challenge, but he stopped at a certain level, and I think I'm grateful for that. A level which is very manageable, a level which can be, improved with time. And my child shows the capability of improving with time, and I'm very, very grateful for that. I'm also grateful for the kind of support that I got, because unfortunately, Neha, amongst us, despite being educated youth, there are many, especially fathers, who refuse to accept their child's condition, and the entire burden passes on to the mother. And I've seen how badly those mothers struggle. They have zero time for themselves. They have no careers. They are dedicated to their child. They go home, they cook, and still don't have that feeling of warmth from their husband that they deserve. And I think that's very heartbreaking. And I'm grateful that I have a family which supports me, not only accepts my child the way she is, but also supports me in whatever way they can. I live in a joint family setup. My in-laws stay with me. There have been times of friction, which I think in any family happens. But overall, if I have a career today, it's all thanks to them, because I could leave Avni in the care of help and grandparents and go to work with a very free mind. Otherwise, I would have never had a career. So that's the second thing. From my mom and my sister's side as well, they are very supportive no matter what the circumstances are. I have been with their help able to get some holidays in the last 9 years, where I've just said that, okay, I'm giving up, I'm leaving with my friend, I'll be back after 3 days. And I've done. And that really brings the best of motherhood in me. Like once you are away from your children for 4 days and focusing only on yourself, you start missing them and you're back with a bang. You're like, now, give me another challenge. I'll take it. So I tell my mom, please take care of them for like 4 days. Even my husband, like I've left children in his care and said that I'm going with a friend and I'll be back in 4 days. Please take care of them. And he does that because he also has a traveling job. So most of the times, if I'm a single parent, so then it falls on him. And then we've been able to have a bit of a balance in that sense. And I think I'm grateful for that, to be able to have it. And I'm grateful that I have a career. I'm grateful that I have a nice, strong friend circle. So these are the things that I'm grateful for.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Preeti, for joining us here today and sharing your journey with us. And I guess in this particular story, the transformation is going to be ongoing as you turn the page with every chapter and every stage of her development.